You should be aware that you are working in default mode. Dan Gilbert, a Harvard professor and author of the book Stumbling into Happiness, says that 46.9% of the day is spent on autopilot. Your brain works in two different ways, the usual mode and the direct mode. I call it the auto mode. That's like the day, when your mind wanders, when you're on autopilot, or when you just go through the motions. When you are in the direct mode, you are in the present and in charge of your ideas. You can keep doing what you're doing, or you can make changes. Your brain has two ways of working: automatic pilot, which is how you usually think, and conscious thought, which you can choose to do. When you start to understand and agree that thinking with a purpose is a skill, I want you to practice doing an attitude reset until you are an expert at it. The negative and limiting thoughts you already have as your default are written into the default network in your brain. So you'll have to do it again and again. So it's not really an event. You want to change. There are many things you want to do with your life. But as soon as you think about these changes, you start to think the worst. You start to get worried. You start to think about all the ways it won't happen. This happens a lot. And the reason is that someone in your past either taught you to think this way or forced you to. You've had so many bad things happen to you that you've trained your mind to think and expect that bad things will happen to you. Bad things will always happen. That's just the way life is. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and the notification bell to stay updated on our daily videos. But if you let your mind always fall into the default mode of thinking that bad things will happen, that you're out of shape, that you're a loser, that you're not good, or that things won't work out, that will become your default way of thinking. Scientists call it the default mode network. The default mode network is a group of neurons in your brain that has made a number of tasks easier. We need a network that works in the default mode, which is why we have one. You and I have to do so many different things every day that shouldn't be necessary. The problem is that thought processes are part of your default mode network. By default, you say, "I'm a liar and a failure. I am not liked. Nobody likes me. I don't look good." It has become part of your default mode network. And you need to know that you will have to go through the same steps I did to learn to write with my left hand after being a right-hander in order to switch from thinking negatively to thinking positively. This process will take time, just like it takes time to learn to write with your left hand instead of your right. First of all, your work will get really powerful. It won't be easy to read, and it won't sound like anything you know. It will be strange. The same thing happens when you start to replace your direct and deliberate default ideas with ones that are uplifting, encouraging, upbeat, and full of possibilities. You can only do this job by changing the patterns in your mind, but you can do it just like you can train yourself to switch from writing with your left hand by default to being direct, focusing, and teaching yourself to write with your right hand. You have what it takes to do it. You'll need to change your way of thinking from default or autopilot to direct. When it works in your favor, it's great. But when it goes against you, it's terrible. Your way of thinking will be the biggest thing standing in the way of your success, since if you can't change it, you will also change your life. I guess you can think whatever you want. This year, I guess you can keep thinking the same way you always have. Or you can change the way you think, which will change the way your life goes. I'm trying to teach you how to think about things more carefully. Not that. This instead. What do you think is holding you back? What do you think about yourself? Maybe your mother or father taught you to think that way about yourself. Maybe you had a bad split and thought the other person didn't deserve you. You may have come to believe that because you've had a lot of mistakes in your life. But what is your limited thought? Now that you know what your limiting belief is, we'll look at what it costs you to keep believing it. Write down what you think is holding you back. "I'm not good enough" is a phrase I hear a lot. "My mental health is holding me back. I don't know how to run a business well because I'm lazy. I have no power. I'm not healthy enough. Money is the trouble. I don't want to fail. What is your limiting thought after you've written that down? You worry that you'll fail. Not at all. You don't deserve to succeed. I don't know how to start talking about all of that. These are the best. You're doing a great job. Realizing that is the first step toward changing from this automatic behavior to one that is more intentional. So seeing it is great because now we can start to understand it. Whoa, I want to get rid of this, but it was put in. To figure out how much it will cost, you will be doing the following. Okay, you need to give straight answers to 3 simple questions about yourself. Why do I feel like I'm a bad person in this situation? How much did it cost me before? The killer is this. What will it cost me in the long run to keep thinking I'm a bad person if I don't change, if I don't get to the bottom of this? You can't get rid of the default until you recognize it. So now that you do, I want you to know that you have a job for the rest of your life. And that job is to make sure that whenever the default network starts to kick in and you start to doubt your abilities because you're too old, not smart enough, or not good enough, I have to reset your mind. It's not God talking to me. It's just some basic programming. I don't have to always be hard on myself and look forward to a future like that. This is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. But the point is that if you don't choose how you think, you always think the same way. You can change your normal mode of thinking so that it is positive, brave, and loving by catching it when it is negative, and then directing it towards something you wanted to do. The point I'm trying to make is that if your default is negative, I don't want you to think that I want you to think that I want you to catch it when you do. And then I want you to think this is something positive. That's it for today. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up below, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We post videos every week, so stay notified. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next video.